The planet was silent, its pale sky stretching out endlessly. Broken rocks lay scattered, and the ground seemed as lifeless as the air. No sign of life could be seen for miles except for a lone human figure dragging his feet through the dust. His name was Adam, a space explorer who had crashed on this barren world, far away from civilization. His ship, once a beautiful shining vessel, was now a twisted heap of metal, lying in ruins. Adam's mission had been simple: survey new planets for possible human colonization. But something had gone wrong. The engine malfunctioned. The ship was now wreckage. The only thing he could do was try to survive. But in this emptiness, he didn't know how much longer he could last. With no communication, no way to call for help, Adam had to make do with the little he had left. He gathered water from a small pool of rainwater he found nearby, rationed out his remaining food, and searched for shelter. His suit was designed to withstand harsh environments, but even that was beginning to wear thin. He had been stranded, here for days, and the loneliness was starting to get to him. Then, on the horizon, something caught his eye. At first it seemed like a mirage, just another strange shadow in the distance, but as he squinted, his heart skipped a beat. It was a figure, a small figure, walking slowly, with an unsteady gait. It was hard to tell exactly what it was, but Adam knew one thing: he was not alone. His first instinct was fear. Maybe it was an alien. Maybe it was something dangerous, but he quickly pushed that thought away. This was a new planet after all. He had to approach with caution, but not with hostility. He gathered his strength and began walking toward the figure. Each step felt heavier, as if the ground itself was pulling him back. He didn't know if this was some kind of trap or if he was about to face a new challenge, but he had to find out. As he got closer, he saw it more clearly. The creature was small, perhaps the size of a human child, but the shape was all wrong. It had delicate silvery skin that shimmered under the dim sunlight. Its face was hidden behind some kind of hood or veil, but Adam could see its eyes, large, round, and filled with fear. The alien girl seemed to notice him at the same time. She froze, her tiny body trembling in place. Her wide eyes were fixed, on him, filled with a mixture of curiosity and terror. She didn't move, as if waiting for him to make the first move. Adam stopped a few meters away, unsure of what to do next. "Don't worry," Adam said softly, trying to comfort her. He raised his hands in a gesture of peace, hoping she would understand. "I won't hurt you." Her gaze flickered, unsure, and for a moment Adam thought she might turn and run. Instead, she lowered her head and slowly took a step back, still, keeping her distance. Adam couldn't blame her. He was a stranger, a large human in a foreign world, and she didn't know if she could trust him. He took another step forward, this time more slowly. "It's okay. I'm not like the others." Her eyes darted to his outstretched hands, then back to his face. She seemed to be deciding whether or not she could trust him. But before she could make up her mind, there was a low rumble from the ground beneath them, the sound of something huge approaching. Adam's heart raced. The alien girl's eyes widened, in terror. She glanced around, her breathing quickening. Something was coming, something dangerous. Adam scanned the horizon, looking for the source of the noise. His heart sank when he saw it. Two enormous creatures, large enough to be seen even from this distance. Their shapes were monstrous, and they were heading straight toward them. Without thinking, Adam stepped forward, his instincts kicking in. "We need to move now," he shouted to the alien girl, but she didn't run. She stood frozen, her eyes wide with fear, her small body trembling in place. She couldn't understand him, not really, but the look in her eyes said it all. She didn't want to move. Adam didn't have time to argue. He grabbed her by the arm, gently pulling her toward him. "Trust me," he said, his voice firm but calm. The alien girl didn't resist. She followed him as they ran, her small feet quick but unsure. The creatures were getting closer now, the ground shaking with their every step. Adam's mind raced. He didn't know if they could outrun them, but they had to try. As they moved through the rugged terrain, Adam's thoughts were only on one thing: getting them both to safety. His hand never left the alien girl's, guiding her through the chaos. The sound of the creature's footsteps grew louder, but Adam couldn't stop. He couldn't let her down. He looked over at the alien girl who was still following him, her eyes wide but full of trust. Despite the danger, she had trusted him, and that made all the difference. They reached a small hill and Adam ducked behind it, hoping to stay hidden. The creatures passed by, their massive forms moving in the distance. Adam breathed a sigh of relief. But the danger wasn't over yet. The alien girl still didn't speak. She stood close to him, trembling slightly but no longer as afraid. Adam smiled gently. "It's okay. We're safe for now." But deep inside he knew this was just the beginning. The alien girl had been running from something that might not be finished with her yet. And now, she was stuck with him as the sun began to set on the strange planet. Adam knew one thing for certain: his life had changed forever, and so had hers. The quiet of the alien world was broken only by the wind as it whistled across the barren landscape. The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the cracked ground. Adam crouched low beside the alien girl who had stopped trembling but still watched him closely with those large, fearful eyes. Her skin shimmered faintly in the fading light, like she was made from the stars themselves. They were safe, for now. But Adam knew the danger wasn't over. The creatures that had chased them were still out there, and they were not the only threat on this planet. He had no idea what else might be lurking in the shadows, but one thing was clear: this wasn't just an ordinary alien world. Adam's mind raced as he turned his attention to the alien girl beside him. She had not spoken a word since their encounter. Despite her small size, she seemed so fragile, yet there was a quiet strength in her. Adam could see it in the way she held herself, even though fear still flickered in her eyes. She had survived alone on this planet, just like him. "You okay?" Adam asked softly, his voice gentle but filled with concern. He wasn't sure if she understood him, but he hoped the kindness in his tone would make her feel safe. She nodded once, slowly, but still didn't speak. Her hand, tiny in comparison to his, was clasped tightly around a small, strange object she carried. It looked like a piece of metal, but there were markings on it, symbols Adam didn't recognize. Adam had seen many things in his life as a space explorer, but nothing like this. "You were running from something, weren't you?" he murmured. "What was it?" The alien girl didn't respond, but she looked down at the object in her hand and then back at Adam. Her expression was unreadable, but there was something in her eyes, something that made Adam feel like she was trying to decide whether she could trust him enough to share her story. Just then, a loud rumble echoed through the air. Adam froze, his heart pounding in his chest. The ground beneath them trembled and a cloud of dust swirled in the distance. Adam's eyes darted to the horizon. The creatures were still out there, but they weren't alone. Another sound broke through the silence, this one different. It was high-pitched, like the sound of something metal grinding against rock. Adam turned sharply, scanning the area. From the edge of the hill he could see figures moving quickly toward them, dark shapes blending into the shadows. They were smaller than the giant creatures, but just as dangerous. "We need to move, now," Adam whispered urgently. Without waiting for a response, he grabbed the alien girl's arm, pulling her into a crouch as they hurried to find cover. The alien girl didn't resist. She followed him without hesitation, her pace matching his, though she stumbled a little as they moved. Adam's mind raced. He had to keep her safe. He had no idea what these new creatures were, but he knew they couldn't afford to take any chances. The two of them moved quickly through the rocky terrain, Adam leading the way, his eyes constantly scanning for danger. The alien girl stayed, close, her presence a reminder that for some reason she trusted him. He could feel the weight of that trust pressing on him, but he didn't mind. He would protect her. He had to. As they ran, Adam noticed something strange. The alien girl's movements seemed more fluid than he'd expect for someone so small and delicate. She was quick, her feet barely touching the ground as she kept pace with him. It was almost as if she was made for this kind of terrain, designed for survival. The creatures behind them seemed to be getting closer, their movements louder with each passing second. Adam's heart thudded in his chest as they reached a narrow crevice in the rocks. It wasn't much cover, but it was enough to hide them from sight, at least for now. They crouched down together, pressing their backs against the cold stone. The alien girl's eyes were wide, her breath quick, but she didn't say anything. She only glanced at Adam as if waiting for him to make the next move. Adam felt a surge of determination. He wasn't going to let anything happen to her. He was a trained explorer. But even with his skills, this planet was a whole new kind of challenge. And now this alien girl, this creature from another world, was depending on him. He turned to her and whispered, "We have to stick together. No matter what happens, we help each other." The alien girl looked at him for a long moment, and then, as if understanding the weight of his words, she nodded once more. It wasn't much, but it was enough. They were allies now, and that meant something. Just as Adam thought they might have a moment of peace, a loud screeching sound filled the air, closer now. He looked out from their hiding spot. The creatures had arrived. They weren't huge like the first ones, but there were a lot of them. "They're hunting us," Adam muttered under his breath, his voice low. His eyes darted around the narrow crevice, looking for a way out. The alien girl stood up without warning, moving toward a narrow passageway to the left. Adam reached out, grabbing her arm. "Where are you going?" She looked back at him, her eyes filled with a strange mix of determination and something else, something he couldn't quite read. She nodded toward the passageway again. Without another word, Adam followed her. They had no choice but to run. Again. And this time, Adam realized, they weren't just running from danger. They were running together, as allies in a world that was determined to kill them both. The night had fallen on the alien world, and a cold wind blew through the jagged rocks and darkened hills. Adam and the alien girl had managed to evade their pursuers for now. The creatures that had hunted them had given up their search, but Adam knew it wouldn't be long before they came back. They were persistent, they wouldn't give up so easily. They had found a temporary refuge in a small sheltered cave. It wasn't much, just a narrow space in the rocks hidden from sight, but it offered some protection from the elements and, more importantly, from whatever might be lurking out there in the night. Adam sat with his back against the cold stone wall, trying to catch his breath. The alien girl was sitting across from him, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light, her hands clutching the strange object she had been carrying ever since he found her. For the first time since their encounter, she seemed more at ease. She wasn't trembling anymore, but her eyes still darted around, wary of the dark corners of the cave. Adam could feel the tension in the air, but there was also something else, something unspoken between them. "I don't know who you are or what you've been through," Adam said softly, breaking the silence. "But we're in this together now. You're not alone anymore." The alien girl didn't respond, but her gaze softened. She didn't speak. Her species didn't seem to have the ability to speak like humans. Yet, in the silence of the cave, Adam felt like she understood him perfectly. The strange object in her hand caught his attention again. It was unlike anything Adam had ever seen. It was small, metallic, and covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change as if they were alive. Adam had tried to make sense of it before, but it was unlike anything in his training. He had seen alien artifacts, of course, but this one felt different. "You've been carrying that for a while now," Adam said, his voice full of curiosity. "What is it? What does it mean?" For the first time, the alien girl looked down at the object in her hands. Her fingers traced over the symbols, her touch gentle, almost reverent. She hesitated for a moment, then looked up at Adam, her eyes filled with something he couldn't quite place. It was a mix of sadness and fear, but also something else. Hope, maybe. With a slow, deliberate motion, she held the object out to Adam. He blinked in surprise but didn't hesitate. Slowly, he took the object from her hands, feeling its strange weight in his palms. It was warm, almost as if it was alive, pulsing with energy. As soon as his fingers wrapped around the object, something strange happened. The symbols on its surface seemed to glow brighter, and a soft hum filled the air. Adam jumped back, almost dropping it, his heart racing. The object was vibrating, as if it were responding to him. He could feel something deep within it, a force that called to him, a presence that was both foreign and familiar at the same time. "What is this?" Adam whispered, his voice thick with awe and fear. The alien girl reached out and placed her hand gently on the object, her fingers brushing against his. The hum grew louder, and suddenly the symbols on the surface shifted in a way that Adam couldn't understand. They moved, flowing into new shapes, new patterns, until a series of images flashed before Adam's eyes. The images came quickly, too quickly for him to make sense of at first. He saw flashes of a world not unlike Earth, but different, strange. Cities, towering spires, alien landscapes. He saw the alien girl, but she wasn't alone. There were others like her, beings with the same shimmering skin and eyes walking through these cities, their faces filled with pride and purpose. But then the images shifted again, darker this time. There were flashes of war, destruction, chaos. The alien girl was running alone. There were explosions, fires, and the shadowy figures of enemies he couldn't recognize. The last image was the alien girl, holding the same object, running through the ruins of a destroyed city, her face filled with determination. Then, just as quickly as it had all started, the images stopped. The object in Adam's hand fell silent, and the hum faded away. He blinked rapidly, his mind racing to process what he had just seen. His heart was pounding in his chest. "What was that?" he breathed, staring down at the object. His hands were still shaking from the intensity of the vision. The alien girl didn't speak, but her expression said it all. She had shared something with him, a vision, a memory. It was clear now. The object wasn't just some artifact. It was a key to her past, and perhaps to the future of her people. Adam felt a new understanding between them, a bond that had formed in that moment. She wasn't just a frightened alien girl anymore. She was someone with a history, with a story that went far beyond the planet they were stranded on. She was part of something much bigger, and whatever that was, Adam had just become a part of it. He looked up at her, his voice steady but full of awe. "You're not alone, are you? There's a whole world out there, a world that's in danger." The alien girl's eyes met his, and for the first time, Adam saw a flicker of hope in them. She nodded slowly, as if confirming everything he had. "Just seen. I'll help you," Adam said, his voice firm. "We'll figure this out, whatever it takes." For the first time, the alien girl smiled, just a little. But it was enough. It was the first real sign of trust between them. She knew that Adam wasn't just a stranger anymore. He was an ally. And together, they would face whatever dangers lay ahead. The night was still, and the shadows outside the cave were deep, but inside there was something new, a promise, a shared purpose. Adam didn't know where this journey would take him, but he knew one thing for sure. He wasn't alone anymore, and neither was she. The winds howled outside the cave, rattling the rocks as if the very planet was alive and angry. Inside, the dim glow of a small fire flickered weakly, casting long shadows on the jagged walls. Adam stared into the flames, lost in thought. The alien girl sat beside him, still clutching the mysterious object, her large eyes watching him intently, as if trying to gauge his next move. They had only just begun to understand the gravity of their situation, and already it felt like they were being tested by fate, by this strange planet, and by the enemies that were no doubt still hunting them. For the first time, Adam wondered if they could survive this. "I thought I was just going to be stranded here," Adam muttered, almost to himself. He hadn't expected this. An alien girl, visions of a lost civilization, and now, a planet that seemed determined to kill them both. What was worse, they were running out of time. They had to act. They couldn't stay hidden forever. The alien girl didn't speak, but she had started to fiddle with the strange object again, tracing the shifting symbols with her fingers. Adam couldn't help but watch her, There was something about her, something powerful, yet fragile at the same time. Despite everything that had happened, despite the dangers that surrounded them, she remained calm. It was strange. How had she gotten so far, surviving on this planet alone? Suddenly, the sound of distant growls reached Adam's ears. His heart skipped a beat. This wasn't the same as the creatures from before. No, these were something else. Something more dangerous. The alien girl's head snapped up at the same time Adam did. Her eyes were wide with alarm, and she quickly stood, clutching the object to her chest. The growls grew louder, closer now. Adam could feel the vibrations in the ground beneath him. Whatever it was coming. And it wasn't alone. "We have to move," Adam said urgently, grabbing his gear and scrambling to his feet. Here." The alien girl nodded, but her movements were slow, hesitant. She didn't seem as frightened as before, but Adam could see the tension in her shoulders. She had been running for so long, surviving on her own for so much longer than Adam could imagine. But now, they were facing something neither of them could outrun. The growls were louder, and this time, Adam could see shapes moving in the dark outside the cave. The shadows shifted, growing larger as the creatures drew near. Adam's heart raced. There was no way they could outrun these things. They had to fight. "We stand our ground," Adam said, his voice firm. "I won't let them hurt you." Alien girl looked at him, her eyes wide and full of something Adam couldn't quite place. Was it trust, or was it something else? She didn't respond, but she took a step closer to him, standing tall and straight despite the fear that still clung to her. Adam turned and grabbed a crude weapon, a large, jagged rock he had found earlier. It wasn't much, but it was something. As he turned to face the entrance of the cave, he saw the first of the creatures emerge from the darkness. It was tall, covered in thick, spiked armor, with eyes that glowed a sickly green. Its mouth was filled with sharp, needle-like teeth, and it let out a low, guttural growl. Behind it were more creatures, their eyes all fixed on Adam and the alien girl. They had found them. Adam took a step forward, his heart pounding, but he knew there was no turning back now. He had made a promise, to protect her, to fight for her, and he would do whatever it took to keep that promise. The alien girl stepped beside him, her tiny frame a stark contrast to the towering beasts in front of them. She raised her hand slowly as if reaching out to the creatures, but Adam's instincts kicked in. "No," he hissed, grabbing her arm. "Stay back." But it was too late. The creatures began to advance, their eyes flashing with an intelligence that made Adam's skin crawl. This wasn't just a hunt, this was something deliberate. They were after something, and Adam had a sinking feeling that the alien girl was that something. "Don't let them take me," the alien girl said, her voice barely above a whisper. Her words hit Adam like a punch to the gut. His grip tightened around the rock as he faced the creatures. "They won't," he promised, though his voice was shaky. "Not as long as I'm standing here." The first creature lunged, its claws slashing through the air. Adam barely managed to dodge, stepping to the side as the creature's sharp claws scraped against the stone. He swung the rock at its face, striking it hard. The creature howled in pain, staggering back, but it didn't fall. It only grew more, enraged. The alien girl stepped forward, her eyes locking onto the creature. Adam saw her hand move, not to strike but to summon something, a glow, faint at first but growing stronger by the second. The symbols on the object in her hands began to glow, pulsating with an eerie light. The creatures hesitated. They sensed the power coming from her, and for the first time Adam saw the fear in their eyes. The alien girl was not just an ordinary survivor. She was something more, something dangerous, something they feared. With a swift motion, the alien girl thrust her hand forward and a burst of energy shot out from the object, slamming into the creature in front of them. The force of the blast sent the creature flying backward, crashing into its companions. The others roared in fury, but they seemed momentarily stunned, unsure of what had just happened. Adam's heart raced as he realized what she had done. "You!" He stared at her in disbelief, but before he could finish his sentence, the creatures regrouped, more determined than ever. "We need to finish this," Adam said, his voice full of resolve. He wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for her. For them. The alien girl nodded, a flicker of determination in her eyes. She wasn't afraid anymore. Together, they would face whatever came next. Together, they would fight. And the trial by fire had only just begun. The fire flickered low in the center of their makeshift camp. The sky above was heavy with dark clouds, and the wind whipped through the cave entrance, sending echoes of distant, unknown dangers across the land. Adam sat with his back to the cold rock wall, his gaze fixed on the glowing object that the alien girl had been clutching. In the dim light, it seemed almost alive, pulsating with energy, an artifact that held secrets, power, and now, hope. But despite the small victory they'd achieved together, Adam couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something wasn't right. Something had shifted in the air after their confrontation with the creatures. It wasn't just the danger, the constant threat of death. It was her. The alien girl had been different since the battle. She had changed. It wasn't a physical change, but her demeanor, the way she carried herself. It was as though something had awakened in her, something deep and ancient that Adam didn't fully understand. She had always been a mystery, but now she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. He watched her from across the fire. Her eyes were fixed on the object in her hands, her fingers tracing the strange symbols like she was communing with it. Her face was set, serious, no longer the frightened, lost girl Adam had first met. The glow from the artifact reflected off her skin, making her look almost ethereal, as if she were from another world entirely. Because in truth she was. The silence between them had grown. They hadn't spoken much since the battle. Adam wanted to ask her what she was feeling, what had happened in the wake of their encounter with the creatures. He wanted to know if she was okay, but more than that, he needed to know where they stood now. He wasn't sure he could trust her anymore. "I don't understand," Adam finally said, breaking the silence. His voice was quieter than he intended, thick with frustration. "We just saved each other, and now you've changed. You're not the same." The alien girl didn't look up. Her gaze was fixed on the artifact as though she hadn't heard him at all. Adam's frustration grew. He could feel it building in his chest, the weight of uncertainty pressing on him. "You're hiding something from me," Adam said, his voice growing louder. "I don't know what, but I can feel it. What is it?" She didn't answer. Adam stood up, his patience fraying. He crossed the space between them quickly, kneeling in front of her, trying to get her attention. "I don't know what this is, what you are, but I thought we were in this together. I thought we had each other's backs. You're not just some helpless alien anymore. You're part of this. You're part of my fight." She finally looked up at him, her eyes, those large, unblinking eyes, piercing through him. For a moment, they just stared at each other in silence. Adam saw something flicker in her gaze, something he couldn't place. Was it guilt? Regret? It was hard to tell. Without warning, the alien girl pulled the object close to her chest, a protective gesture, as if hiding it from his view. Her lips parted, and for the first time her voice, soft, almost a whisper, reached him. "I wasn't always alone," she said. Her voice was different now, not the frightened whisper of the girl he had met, but something deeper, older, filled with unspoken truths. "I wasn't always running." Adam blinked, taken aback. "What do you mean? You weren't always alone? Who were you with?" The alien girl stood up, her posture straight, the weight of her words heavy between them. She looked around the cave, as though the walls themselves could understand what she was about to say. "My people, my kind, are not like others," she began, her voice steady now, her eyes locked onto Adam's. "We were once a great civilization, a race of beings who could do things that no one else could, but we were hunted, by our own, by those who thought we were a threat. The object I carry, it's the last piece of what remains." Adam's heart sank. He could feel the weight of her words hanging in the air. This wasn't just some innocent alien girl lost on a strange world. She was a survivor of something much larger, something darker than Adam had realized. They didn't just chase us, the alien girl continued, her voice thick with emotion. They betrayed us. They turned on us. The ones who were meant to protect us, they led us to our downfall. I was the last to escape, the only one who made it out alive. Adam's breath caught in his throat. So, the creatures we fought, they weren't just random monsters? No, she replied, her voice sharp now, tinged with anger. They were once my protectors, my guardians. But they betrayed me, and they still hunt me, searching for the object, for the power within. Adam stared at her, trying to process everything. You mean they weren't after you? They were after that thing? She nodded. Yes, they know what it can do, what it can unlock. A chilling silence fell over them. Adam had assumed their fight was about survival, about escaping the immediate threat. But now he realized that there was something far more sinister at play. This wasn't just a fight to survive. It was a fight for the future, for something that had the power to change everything. You lied to me, Adam whispered, his voice shaking. You never told me any of this. You let me believe this was just about getting off the planet, surviving. The alien girl flinched, her expression darkening. I didn't lie. I just couldn't tell you. I didn't trust anyone. Not after what happened, not after what they did. Adam's fists clenched, his emotions a whirlwind of betrayal and confusion. He had fought alongside her. He had put his life on the line to protect her. But now he realized that she hadn't been fighting for survival alone. She had been hiding a truth, one that was bigger than either of them. But as the anger surged in him, something else settled into his chest. Understanding. She had been alone for so long, running from those who once cared for her, trusting no one. And now here she was, sharing the truth. She was finally letting him in. I don't care about the past, Adam said, his voice softening. I care about what comes next. We're in this together. You don't have to do this alone anymore. I don't know who betrayed you, but I'll help you stop them. I'll help you fight. For the first time, the alien girl looked at him, truly looked at him, and for the first time, Adam saw something like hope flicker in her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. And in that moment, Adam knew there was no turning back. They were bound together, their fates intertwined. The future of her people, and perhaps his own, depended on them both. And whatever came next, they would face it together. In a world filled with betrayal, redemption had begun. The cave felt smaller now, suffocating in its isolation. Adam and the alien girl had spent the past few days hiding from their enemies, but the world outside called to them, whispering in ways they couldn't ignore. The air felt thick with uncertainty, every shadow hiding something unseen. They had barely scratched the surface of the planet's mysteries, and now, it was time to uncover more, whether they were ready or not. Adam stood at the entrance of the cave, gazing out into the storm-swept landscape. The wind howled like a creature lost in the night, and the sky above was filled with dark clouds that seemed to pulse with unnatural energy. The planet felt alive, its heartbeat thumping in the very air they breathed. He could feel it. The planet was shifting, as if preparing for something, and he and the alien girl were part of that shift, whether they liked it or not. We can't. Keep running, Adam said, his voice carrying the weight of decision. We need to move forward. We need answers. The alien girl stood beside him, her gaze steady, her fingers still tracing the symbols on the mysterious artifact she carried. She didn't speak, but Adam could feel her tension. She had always been the cautious one, the one who wanted to stay hidden, but now there was a flicker of resolve in her eyes. She knew this was the only way forward. There was no escaping the past. The future was waiting, and it was in the unknown. The object pulsed with energy in her hands, its faint glow illuminating the dark cavern behind them. It had changed since their last encounter with the creatures. It seemed to hum with a life of its own, as if it had a purpose beyond anything Adam could comprehend. It was calling to them, guiding them toward something, or someone. But what? Adam grabbed his gear, strapping on his weapons and preparing for whatever lay ahead. The alien girl's eyes met his, and for the first time, he saw a glimmer of something unfamiliar. Confidence, maybe even trust. She wasn't the scared, unsure girl who had first stumbled into his world. She was a warrior now, and she was ready for the challenges ahead. "We need to go east," she finally spoke, her voice quiet but filled with conviction. "There's a place, deep in the desert, where the last of my people once lived. It's where the answers are." Adam nodded, the weight of her words settling into his chest. He had no idea what they would find there, but the urgency in her voice was enough to convince him. It was time to leave the cave behind and head into the unknown. The journey was long and treacherous. As they traveled, the landscape began to change. The rocky terrain gave way to vast stretches of desert, the sand shifting beneath their feet with each gust of wind. The air was thick with the scent of something ancient, something buried beneath the planet's surface for centuries. Adam could feel it, the presence of something long forgotten, waiting to be uncovered. They moved in silence for hours, their steps guided by the alien girl's knowledge of the land and the subtle pull of the artifact in her hands. Adam couldn't help but feel the growing sense that they were not just walking through the desert, they were walking into history itself. Everything about this planet felt like it had been forgotten for a reason, like it was a place lost to time. And yet, here they were, uncovering its secrets piece by piece. As they approached the edge of a massive dune, the alien girl stopped. Her eyes narrowed and she raised her hand, signaling for Adam to be still. He froze, instinctively reaching for his weapon. Something wasn't right. The air grew still, the wind dying down to a haunting calm. In the distance, barely visible, against the horizon, Adam saw a flicker of movement, dark figures shifting through the sand. They were too far away to make out clearly, but he could feel their presence. They were coming, and they were not alone. The alien girl's hand tightened around the artifact, her knuckles white. She glanced at Adam, her expression grim. "They've found us," she said, her voice tight. "The ones who betrayed me. They know what I'm carrying, and they'll stop at nothing to get it back." Adam's heart raced. The last few days had been filled with close calls and near-death experiences, but this was different. This wasn't just a survival fight anymore. This was about stopping something far more dangerous. The forces they were up against were not just out to kill them. They wanted to reshape the very fabric of this planet. "We have to move faster," Adam said, scanning the horizon. "We can't let them catch us out in the open." The alien girl nodded, her eyes hard with determination. "There's a place, an old ruin where we can hide, but we have to get there before they do." Adam nodded, his mind already racing. With strategies. The time for hiding was over. They would make their stand in the ruins. The unknown was no longer a distant threat. It was here, closing in on them. They began to run, their feet sinking into the soft sand as they hurried toward the distant ruins. The wind picked up again, kicking up dust and sand, making it harder to see. But Adam didn't look back. He could hear the distant rumble of pursuit, the pounding footsteps of enemies gaining on them. But he refused to let fear slow him down. Not now. Not when the stakes were this high. The ruins were closer now, rising up from the sand like the skeleton of some long-dead creature. They were ancient, old beyond anything Adam had seen before. The stone structures seemed to pulse with a strange energy, as if the ruins themselves were alive, waiting for something or someone to awaken them. As they reached the entrance, the alien girl stopped once more. She turned to Adam, her expression unreadable, her voice barely a whisper. "This is it," she said. "The answers you've been looking for. The truth about everything. It all starts here." Adam felt a chill run down his spine. The unknown was no longer just an abstract idea. It was real, and it was waiting for them. Together, they stepped into the heart of the ruins, ready to face whatever secrets the past had buried. The air inside the ruins was thick with dust and ancient secrets. As Adam and the alien girl made their way through the crumbling stone corridors, the walls seemed to whisper, faint echoes of a long-forgotten civilization, murmurs of a time before the world had fallen into ruin. The strange energy that pulsed from the artifact seemed to grow stronger with each step they took, guiding them deeper into the heart of the ruins. Adam could feel it now, a presence in the air, something ancient and powerful. It wasn't just the artifact. It was the ruins themselves. The very stones beneath their feet seemed alive, vibrating with energy, as though they were waiting for something, or someone. "This place," Adam murmured, his voice echoing off the walls. "It feels like it's watching us." The alien girl didn't answer immediately, but he saw the brief flicker of understanding in her eyes. She had known this place before. It was more than just a refuge. It was a place of power, a place that had once been the center of her people's world. "We're getting close," she said, her voice steady but filled with the weight of centuries. "The answers we seek are here. But so are the ones who will stop us from finding them." Adam looked around, his senses heightened. The ruins felt both timeless and dangerous, like a trap waiting to close in on them. They had come this far, but they both knew that the true test was yet to come. As they reached the central chamber of the ruins, the atmosphere shifted. The walls seemed to hum with energy, and the faint glow from the alien girl's artifact illuminated strange symbols carved into the stone. These were unlike any symbols Adam had seen before, twisting, complex designs that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking directly at them. The girl's fingers tightened around the artifact, her breath steady but filled with determination. "This is it," she whispered. "The heart of everything. The place where it all began." Before Adam could respond, a loud crash echoed from behind them, and the ground beneath their feet trembled. He turned sharply, heart racing. Dark shapes emerged from the shadows, figures cloaked in tattered armor, their eyes glowing with malice. The betrayal she had spoken of. These were the ones who had hunted her, the ones who had turned on her. "People. They found us," the alien girl said, her voice a mix of dread and defiance. "It's time to end this." Adam's hand went to his weapon, but he didn't pull it out. Not yet. This wasn't just a fight to survive. It was a fight for the future of the planet, for the truth of her people's past. He could feel it, the weight of their history, their legacy, pressing down on them. The leader of the shadowed figures stepped forward, his face obscured by a dark hood. His voice echoed through the chamber, cold and filled with contempt. "You think you can stop us?" he sneered, his voice low and menacing. "The artifact you carry is a relic of power, but power like that should never fall into the hands of those who can't control it. You're nothing but a child playing with forces beyond your understanding." The alien girl's eyes narrowed, and for the first time, she stepped forward, her hand raised in a gesture of defiance. "You were never meant to control it. It was meant to protect my people. And I will make sure it does." The tension in the room thickened, and Adam could feel the energy in the air, the same energy that had been pulsing from the artifact. It was building, growing stronger with every word, every movement. This wasn't just a battle for survival, it was a battle for everything they had fought for redemption, for the future. The leader of the betrayers laughed, a cruel, hollow sound that echoed off the ancient walls. "You're too weak to understand. This world belongs to those who can dominate it, who can control the power of the old ones. You're a relic, just like the artifact you carry. And in the end, it will be ours." Adam stood tall, his hand resting on the hilt of his weapon, but he didn't draw it. He knew what needed to be done. This wasn't about weapons. This was about strength, about standing together in the face of overwhelming odds. "I don't think you understand," Adam said, his voice steady but filled with a quiet intensity. "It's not about who controls the power. It's about who deserves it." The alien girl's hand tightened around the artifact, and she raised it high, the symbols on its surface glowing brighter than ever before. The room seemed to shudder, as the energy swirled around them, pulling the ancient power from the depths of the ruins. With a roar, the betrayers charged forward, their weapons raised, but the alien girl stood her ground. The energy from the artifact erupted, a blinding wave of light that slammed into the attackers, sending them crashing to the ground with a force that shook the very foundations of the chamber. Adam shielded his eyes, but he didn't flinch. He knew this was it, the final test. The power of her people, the strength of their legacy was being unleashed, and nothing would stop them now. The leader of the betrayers struggled to rise, his face twisted with rage and disbelief. "You don't know what you're doing," he hissed. "You're tampering with forces beyond your comprehension. You'll destroy us all." But the alien girl stepped forward, her eyes glowing with a fierce light. "I'm not destroying anything. I'm saving it." The energy around them surged one final time, and the leader of the betrayers collapsed, his body consumed by the power they had unleashed. The others scattered, fleeing into the shadows, unable to withstand the force that had been awakened. In the silence that followed, the alien girl lowered the artifact, her breathing heavy but steady. The chamber was still, the only sound the distant echo of the betrayer's retreat. Adam approached her, his heart pounding in his chest. He could feel the weight of everything that had happened, the betrayal, the fight, the struggle for survival. But now there was something new between them, something that had grown from trust, from the shared battle. "You did it," Adam said, his voice quiet but full of awe. The alien girl turned to him, her expression softening. "We did it," she corrected. "Together." The ruins, once filled with the echoes of betrayal, now stood silent, waiting for a new future to unfold. Adam looked out across the ancient chamber, the weight of their victory settling over him. This wasn't just the end of a battle. This was the beginning of something new, something brighter, something full of promise. The final stand had been won, but the journey was far from over. Together they would face whatever came next, side by side, bound by the strength of their shared purpose, and the unknown, once a source of fear, was now a path leading to a future of hope.